Hi, I'm Alexa. I have studiously avoided making videos that are political commentary aside from one. Now, I understand that some people might have viewed some of my videos and been like, oh, well, you're obviously this, that, or the other. The only video that I did intentionally calling out politics and a political move was called Problematic Pate. And it was about a week before the election. So it would have been the very end of October 2024. And in that video, I spoke about how I am a naturalized citizen and how Pate did something that was purely 100% politically motivated, that was, by the letter of the law, illegal to influence the election less than 2 weeks before the election. His actions should have been done more than 90 days prior, but he waited until less than 2 weeks before the election to release to the media this inflammatory thing that over 2,000 people had registered to vote who, based on their DMV, their driver's license entry, the last time they signed up for their license, had said they were not a citizen. Yes, that's because you are not required to update your DMV entry when you become a citizen here in Iowa. Now, he has, within the past couple of weeks, asked for legislation to be passed that makes it a requirement to update that. And I'm okay with that. I'm not okay with the entire text of the bill, but I am okay with the fact, because I literally walked out of the room after getting sworn in as a citizen. I had my certificate in hand, and I went to the table where they set up to help you register to vote, and I said, do I need to update my driver's license? You are required when you get your driver's license to prove who you are, and one of the ways you can do that is with your green card. And if you do that, they list you as a permanent resident, legal alien of this country. So the last time I got my license, that is what I did. So I knew when I went and got my citizenship that that was incorrect. And I was told specifically, asking, do I need to update this? They said, no, it is not. You don't need to. Just next time your license expires, you'll update it at that time. Here in Iowa, that means that you could theoretically have a driver's license entry for 10 years minus 1 day, because you're probably not going to the DMV and you're swearing in ceremony on the exact same day. So 10 years minus 1 day that you have your DMV entry, potentially, because they give, when you renew your license in here, you get random number of years. I think it's 5, 8, or 10. I don't know exactly what the three options are, but I think those are them. So you could theoretically have that license, say you're a non-resident alien, for 10 years. And they knew this, okay? Now, a lot of people do not actually understand a lot of the stuff around immigration and immigration rules. So here's a really fun fact for you. When they say come to this country legally, they don't recognize or realize that at least 41%, the number they're estimating today, 41% of illegal immigrants in this country came to this country legally and have simply overstayed their student or their work visa or whatever is going on. Listen, you can come here and be on a visa for years. You can meet someone, you can start a family, and then you might lose your job before you get your green card, which you're in the process of legally applying for. And well, now you're in this limbo gray area of like, well, I have my family my entire life here, but my work visa, because of losing my job, well, what are you going to do? Are you going to tear your family apart, tear your children and your spouse and ruin their heart? Like, it's a really horrible choice to have to make. Now, I luckily did not have to make that choice. I renewed my green card twice. They're given for 10 years when you get them, and then you renew them every 10 years. I was a completely, objective observer of what has happened in this country for 20 odd years, prior to basically leading up to me becoming a citizen, I had no skin in the game. There was nothing that I could do in support of. There are some things you can do if you wish to be involved, but I just stayed out of everything. I was like, I'm not a citizen. I'm not going to get involved. I'm not going to go volunteer for people. I'm not going to do any of this stuff. Like, that's not what I was doing. I used to, in maybe the mid to late 2000s, there were actually some Republican senators that I had respect for. And I would say I had respect for them, like very specific individual Republican senators. And some of them are still there today. And it was their actions and their incredible manipulation of the truth that forced me off of my impartial observer sort of platform that I was on. What I have noticed, and why I'm deciding to expand I'm going to have a different playlist, and it'll be civics. So civics is, and let's pull out a definition because we want to make sure we get this right. From Merriam-Webster Dictionary, civics is a social science dealing with the rights and duties of citizens. So there is a very, very key word in there that I think people miss and don't understand what it truly encompasses. I think there's a base level of understanding, but I also think that it's not explained enough in school. I think it's not something that we sort of expect or talk about. One of the things that is very important, I've said many times on my channel, is that language matters. So one of the things that a lot of people do, and I have been guilty of this, is saying things like, oh, lawyers are all terrible. Politicians, they're all the same, right? Think of like, or salespeople, right? They're so pushy, right? We all have these preconceived notions of certain, well, probably of every type of job. We have these preconceived notions. But the problem with saying something like all politicians are corrupt and all politicians are the same, it gives you, us, if we say it, a moral high ground to say, well, I'm better and I'm not like them and they're really bad people and I would never do that. It gives us an out from actually stepping up and doing the hard work that many of them are doing. And there are many people who are in public service, politics, government jobs who are doing very, very, very good work and genuinely, and I mean genuinely, doing what they think is best for the country. There are also people who are not. And unfortunately, what we know from psychology is that money corrupts. And oversight is absolutely, without a doubt, oversight, knowledge that consequences will occur, is something that we as people need. When we think that we will have, no one will ever know and we can get away with something, they've done these studies. We are more likely to be tempted by questionable behavior. And it's like small behavior, not even like big. It starts small. It normally starts really, really small, where you just toe that line of what you think is good and bad and what your morals are, right? And so you'll toe the line, and when you get away with it, then you go the next step and then the next step. And we've seen this throughout history. We see this with people. There was a politician, and I can't think of his name now, but I'm pretty sure he was from New York, and he got caught with this cheating scandal. And I mean, well, there's a bunch of them that have that happen, and you always get the same look on their face when they're like really like, oh, I'm so ashamed. And like, it's apparently, I don't know too much about this, but body language, there's certain things like shame and disgust that show up on our face in the same way. And it's characterized by shame is characterized by looking down and the mouth turning down as well. These people got away with things and then they went too far. And this is, unfortunately, seems to be happening way too much right now. We have to know, as people, where our lines are. What is moral, what is just, what is right, and we need to be willing to stick to those things, because if we don't, we will all, and I mean all of us, if we do not stick to those things, we will have a moment where we suffer the consequences of our own actions and choices. So the key word in this civics definition is not rights, it's responsibilities. Or duties, I think that the definition says, but responsibilities, your responsibilities. So one of the things as a green card holder is that I was not afforded the right to vote. Fine, I was fine with that. I was also not required to serve on a jury, which is one duty that a lot of people think comes with, or know comes with, having the right to vote, being a citizen. Well, you get to vote, but you have to do jury duty. I think a lot of people understand that one. There's other things that come with this. And these are the things that are not being taught. And these are the things that I think if we are able to bring awareness to, people might take a minute to stop and examine what they're doing and where they're going and how far they've gone down a path. Now, we are all human, right? I have shared examples of things I'm not proud of in my past. And some of those things were out of anger or frustration or hurt. Some of them have been just making a bad choice. And we can get in our heads, several of us, I burned myself. And I just noticed it. I was like, oh, that's really flashing on the screen. I talk with my hands. What can I do? What can I tell you, right? Sorry. Super squirrel moment there. Now I've completely lost my train of thought. I was doing so well. Y'all, this is real life. This is what happens. One of the things that I don't think people realize is a responsibility, a duty, is that if you are going to exercise your right, whatever right it is that you are exercising, you have a duty to understand what your choice and your action is going to do. So this means that at the broadest level, if you are going to vote in an election for, let's just say, the president's office, though it applies to all offices, if you are going to go and vote in that election, you have to be aware of what your vote might end up causing. So a lot of people become one issue voter. It might be the economy, which was a big thing this election. It might be immigration, which I obviously have skin in the game. I obviously know a little bit more about the immigration process than most people who've never had to deal with US ICS. It might be agriculture. It might be banking. It might be technology. It might be science and health. It might be any issue. Could be your one vote that you will say, I will only vote for the person who either supports this or doesn't support this. And if there's more than one choice in that arena, then you can go to your second issue, third issue, etc. Right? The problem with that, the absolute problem with that, is that most of these hot button one issue things, these categories that we are kind of forced into a box saying you have to have a line of yes or no, they are not, for most of us, when you talk with a person one-on-one, these issues that are the one issue voters, as they call them, they're not the issues that actually align with who we are, our morals, who we want to be. And they also very, very clearly and cleverly have used, for want of a better term, psyops. I believe I might have mentioned Cambridge Analytica in the Pate, problematic Pate video. There was a research person at Cambridge University, I think it's Cambridge University in England, and he found out that with just 30 different interactions, so on Facebook, for example, let's say you like 3 different movies, you follow 5 different personalities, you post that you've watched or you've been to certain sports events or whatever it is, you post a couple of memes, whatever it is, if you get 30 of these, they can accurately predict what to say, how to word an advertisement to make you do what they want. 30, that's it. 30 interactions. And if you are not aware of this, if you think that this couldn't possibly affect you, that you would know if this was happening and that you would never ever be emotionally manipulated into something, you are way more likely to fall for it. Now, I know this information, and I also have now had to then stop and look at stuff as it's coming up in my feed or whatever website I'm on, right? I have to stop and look at it and say, oh, what is my reaction here? Does that actually align with who I am and what I believe? Or is that an emotional response from my amygdala? Now, I also have a video on amygdala hijack, and that one is probably very important and a very good starting point if you've never done anything in terms of psychology or human nature or how easy it is for our emotions to take over and for us to do things that we are not rational and we don't think them through. A lot of people are busy. And because of this, politicians are all bad and we're not like them, it's giving people license to ignore it, to ignore everything that's going on, and then only to show up on one day every 2 or 4 years, depending on if you do the off-cycle voting too, and vote on one issue. And vote on one issue without doing actual research on and studying, essentially, what is going to happen and what are the bigger issues than the one talking point or 2 talking points from the person you've decided you're going to vote for. Now, I have my personal people that I appreciate, how they interact with their constituents, how they talk to all of us. I still get disappointed in them because they are people as well. And unfortunately, in order for them to get any support for certain things, and it doesn't matter who they are, it doesn't matter what politician they are, in order for us to get any type of support from enough people for us to achieve what we want to achieve, we do have to fall back into marketing and popularity. The absolute most ironic thing, I think, in terms of the people who pursue power most of the time, is that if you want to be in one of these positions, and I mean, like, that's your driving force, is you think that it's powerful and you want power and whatever, you're less likely to be a good leader. You're less likely to be good in the role. Now, if you are the opposite, where you don't want to be in that role, but you see that you have the knowledge and the skills to do it better than the person who's there, and the person who's there is harming whatever it is you think the most, like economy or your community or whatever it is, right? Whatever it is, the issue is that you're like, they're really damaging something here. I don't want to be that, but I'm going to do it anyway, because if not me, who else? Those are the people who actually end up being better in that position. And the reason they are better in that position, and this is all out there, you can go research it, go Google it, Google Scholar, y'all, Google Scholar. It'll help you find actual studies, scientific studies. The reason that they are better is that they understand the gravity of the power they are given and how it affects others, and they actually care about how it affects others. So this has been a very long-winded way of saying that I'm very fascinated with human nature, with everything that is within Civics, society, culture, human nature, all of those things, literally our culture, right? And I think sociology would probably be the broader term. I think civics is a part of sociology, but sociology is that broader, everything we do with our culture. And I mean culture literally in every single one of us is a part of a culture, and we might be part of multiple cultures. You have a work culture, you have a family culture, you have a community where you live in your city culture, you have all of these things. You might be in a church that has a culture at the church, and if you go to a different church, it's slightly different, right? Culture is everything. Culture is every single one of us, what we bring to the table when we interact with other people. That's what I mean by culture. It doesn't mean one specific heritage or anything like that. It is quite literally human nature. I'm fascinated by it. I wish that I had not been done the disservice in it as a youth to have been so brainwashed that politicians are bad and that certain community stuff is bad, and if you want to help, it's bad, and that only bad people do this stuff, because there are so many amazing people out there who would be so much better at helping guide our communities forwards if they were given the support that they need within those roles. And here's the thing, this is in all public service, okay? It's in all life. Going back to the thing that we need to know that there are consequences for our actions, there is accountability, there is oversight, and stuff is in the light. We cannot hide it in the dark. We have to know these things and we do better. And having that support actually makes us all do our jobs better, even if we don't like it when it's happening and we're getting, called out on something or encouraged to do better in something. In the long run, we will do better. We will be better. And it is so fascinating. And it really does go back to coaching as well, which is one of the things I really love in my role, is being able to support people and to coach them and to bring them up and to help them be better in the ways that they wish to be better. And maybe hopefully some other ways too, right, that they weren't expecting. It was such a disservice to me, and I think it's a disservice to so many people out there, that we have let this narrative that politicians are all bad, that if you become a politician, you're just like them and you're bad too. I think it's an absolute travesty that has occurred. And I wish I had known it sooner, and I wish I had been able to participate more fully. However, the way that I approached this in my life, and the way that I was an independent observer for 20 odd years, it allowed me to genuinely study and listen to and learn from so many different points of view. I'm done listening to certain points of view. I recognize the inherent value of each human. Basic human rights, okay? You are a person. You are worthy of a life, of health, of a home, of food. You are worthy just as a person. That doesn't mean I need to like you. It doesn't mean we need to be best friends. It doesn't mean we need to truly respect each other and everything we do. But at a basic level, you are a human, I am a human, and we are worthy of basic human rights. Water is a basic human right. Hi. Oh yeah, you said I talked too long? Really? I think my life experiences have allowed me to develop an extremely strong sense of morality and justice, and really specifically justice. And I can kind of even pinpoint the day it became something inside of me that if wrong is wrong, we don't do it. I have multiple examples throughout my life where I did the right thing, even to my own detriment. And I'm proud of that. I am very proud of that. There are also times where I'm not proud that I didn't quite do as much as I wanted to in pursuit of justice for myself and others, right? There's always things that we can learn and do better with. So this is a really long video. I am going to go ahead and stop it here. And I will mark these videos as I do them. I will put them in a separate playlist, obviously. So if they are not the videos for you, that's okay. If you are here for the book reviews, you can do that. If you are here for Learn with Lexa, which is just random topics that I come across and want to learn a bit more about. If you are here for the Everton ones, whatever your choice is on which ones you watch, I appreciate you being here. I do not expect people to watch all of these videos, but I am, if not me, who? I probably should have started these videos quite a lot sooner, and hopefully they will land with certain people who are open to learning and growing more in this area of sociology and civics and human nature. And yeah, as always, if you made it till the very end, thank you. And remember to think about what you're losing, the cost, when you do things that aren't in alignment with your morals and your values, because that cost is high and it will always, always come due for all of us. Thank you. Be kind to yourself.